that while today we are gathered here, that there is an individual who is always great about answering the call. And so Reverend Clayton is going to come back to ensure that you hear a little bit about this individual who likes to describe himself as a young son of immigrants from the tenements. But we know that he is so much more than that, that he is an individual who understands that the civil rights struggle in this great country was laid so that he would be able to be where he is. And as a result of that, he takes with him every day a sense of social justice for you and for me and for our mothers too. And so, Reverend Clayton, please come back and do us the great honor, the humbling gift of presenting Senator Bob Menendez. Thank
you. Michellene has taken my breath away. It is my joy and my honor to present our convener for the day. He is the highest ranking Hispanic American in Congress. Amen. He understands well the importance of people who are the sons and daughters of immigrants, people who have either come here or been brought here, how important it is for us to excel, achieve, and advance. In his own life, he has proved to us what true servanthood really is. He began his service as a public servant 44 years ago, serving in his local community, challenging the school board to responsibly educate the children of that particular city. And 44 years later, he now celebrates and is celebrated and is honored as one who speaks out for the people of the Garden State. He is a fighter. We have seen him, particularly this last year, fight to maintain his place as a voice and advocate for people who are the least, the last, the left back, and the left behind. We are honored to call him our senator. He is our convener for today. He is our brother and our friend. I invite you to stand and receive today with glad words and appreciation of applause, Senator Bob Menendez. Come on, let's celebrate our senator as he comes.
Good afternoon, St. Luke. Thank you, Reverend, for your gracious introduction, and don't feel bad. Michellene takes my breath away all the time, so. It's wonderful to be here with all of you to celebrate our 7th annual Standing on the Shoulders of Giants Black History Month celebration. Every year, this event gets bigger and better. And I know it's because of the leaders and the organizations and the volunteers from across New Jersey who make it happen. But first, let me thank Reverend Kenneth Clayton for so warmly welcoming us to St. Luke's Baptist Church. Under Reverend Clayton's leadership, St. Luke has flourished not just as a house of worship, but also as a force for good for the people of Patterson. From after-school programs to computer literacy classes, to the Christ House Food and Clothing Center, Reverend Clayton's work is proof of faith's power to change lives and lift up communities. Thank you, Reverend Clayton. I want to thank Reverend York for her inspiring invocation. I know she had to go to another service, but we are thrilled that she began this in invoking God's name. And let me just say, being in church today, I am reminded that sometimes God throws a Goliath in your path to find the David within you. And I certainly have found that, and I can be a testament to that. I want to thank these voices gifted by God, the voices of St. Luke, for so beautifully uplifting all of us. Thank you so much. I am tired of hearing how our young people do all of the wrong things. Today, we're going to celebrate those young people who do all of the right things. So Celia Paya, the student from Arts High, and the Newark NAACP branch of AXO, what a terrific performance. What majesty and grace. Thank you, Salah. We're going to see Patterson's own Effusion Dance Collective take the stage a little later. And certainly we thank the Clifton High School Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps for presenting our colors and making us proud. And what can I say about our mistress of ceremony, one of New Jersey's greatest healthcare advocates, Michellene Davis, Executive Vice President for the RWJ Barnabas Health. Michellene, thank you so much. We adore you, and we thank you for your friendship and bringing us into the spirit here today. By the way, Micheline's outfit is totally by black designers. I just want you to know, totally black designers. Because I was admiring and I got the whole pedigree as a result of that. So. Let me thank, well, we are celebrating Black History Month, so we have to celebrate every element of it. Let me thank our keynote speaker who I'll introduce shortly, Mayor Ras Baraka. I'm honored to have you as this year's keynote speaker. Proud of your work on behalf of the people of Newark. Fortunate to call you my friend. And what can I say? It's great to have a governor who still shows up after election time with us. And you know, in my 44 years of public service, it is not what you say, but what you do. And so far, the first African-American lieutenant governor, who is also the commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, an incredibly good force in our communities, the Secretary of State, we didn't mention it, but the new adjunct general of the New Jersey National Guard, the first African-American to lead the National Guard in the state of New Jersey. So those of you who put your faith in Governor Murphy's delivering on that faith and that belief, and we appreciate it, Governor. I'm thrilled all of the public officials that have joined us, local, county, state. Of course, I have to say, as a colleague in the United States Congress, if you're in a fight, you want the guy from Patterson in the foxhole with you, and that's Congressman Bill Pascrell. I know we mentioned a lot of important people, but I'm going to mention a group that I think is incredibly important, and they're right in line with Valentine's Day, and that's the women of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Thank you so much for being with us. So whether you walked here, whether you drove here, whether you were bused here, I thank you all for joining us and many of the public officials who brought you from their communities, several of the mayors and freeholders. We come together to honor the countless ways in which African Americans have shaped our democracy, enriched our culture, and brightened our collective future. We're here to pay tribute to a people whose struggle for freedom made our country more free, whose drive for justice made our laws more just, and whose march for equality made all of us more equal. That's why I call this event Standing on the Shoulder of Giants celebration, because these who came before us, actually we stand on their shoulders as we continue to look towards the future and greater progress. Because I know that my story, the son of political refugees, who grew up poor in a tenement in Union City, the first in my family to go to college, to be able to rise as one of 100 United States senators in a country of 320 million people would not have happened but for the civil rights leaders who preceded my time and gave me that opportunity to achieve the American dream. It is a story that never would have been possible but for those African-American civil rights leaders who came before me. The giants who throughout our history moved us closer to realizing the great promise of this nation. It is a promise that was first written in the Declaration of Independence, the promise that all men, and I would amend it to all men and women, are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is a promise that was cruelly denied to generations of African Americans. Black men and women who were sold into slavery and subjugated by segregation, which is why I bristle when I hear my Republican friends talk about chain migration. It is insulting when you understand that there are those who were bought this country in chains that did not choose to come to this country that way. Those who were beaten by bigots and barred from the ballot, refused equal rights, and robbed of equal opportunity. Yet despite being deprived of their humanity, being shut out of our democracy, being denied the inalienable rights bestowed by our Creator, they never stopped believing that the promise of the country was their promise true, that the American dream was their dream too, that those rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were also their rights as well. So today we celebrate their legacy and honor the many ways that they continue to shape our country. We still draw strength as well as wisdom from the soaring dream of Dr. Martin Luther King and the courage of heroes like my colleague, Congressman John Lewis. We still find inspiration in Harriet Tubman's determination and Sojourner Truth's wisdom. We are still uplifted by the faith of founding ministries like Absalom Jones and Locke Carey. We are still moved by writers like Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, and our keynote speaker, own father, Amiri Baraka. We are still dazzled by the music of Louis Armstrong and the voice of Whitney Houston, whose organ sits right here in this church. We are still amazed by athletic pioneers like Jackie Robinson and Jesse Owens. And yes, we are inspired by the feats of today's athletes, from Olympian Simone Biles to New Jerseyans like Corey Clement and Vinnie Curry, who helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl. And of course, sometimes in the midst of our daily relationships with people, we lose sight. But I am proud as the senior senator to serve side by side with one of the most talented, incredibly smart, and dynamic senators of the United States, Cory Booker, who is a fantastic human being. He is a leader with tremendous heart, boundless energy, and limitless potential, and I am thrilled to serve with him side by side every day in our fight for justice. Now, many of the priorities we fight for in Washington, economic opportunity, affordable health care, access to justice, are the same priorities championed by the organizations that we will honor today. This year's honorees are the African American Chamber of Commerce, the African American Heritage Parade and Festival Organization, and the New Jersey Institute of Social Justice. Each organization has strengthened the economic, cultural, and social fabric of New Jersey's African American community. And their work reminds us all that Black History Month is just as much about the future as it is about the past. And I would argue that now, more than ever, we need to evaluate and celebrate the good work going on in our communities. Because these days, if we're honest, it's not like we can look to the White House for inspiration. Despite all we have to be proud of, many of us, the events of the past year have been disappointing, disturbing, and disheartening. Indeed, it is disappointing to hear a president brag about a low African American unemployment rate when in truth it is still nearly double that of the nation at large. It is disturbing to have an American president disparage people of color based on the countries of their origin, or tell us that white supremacists that march in Charlottesville, that there were good people on both sides. And it is disheartening to have a president that at every turn, no matter what the issue, seems to have one mission: undoing the progress that was achieved by President Barack Obama simply because he was Barack Obama. There's no doubt about it. This year has been a year to forget. A year of political despair and dysfunction. A year of uncertainty, of instability. But it's also a year of activism and citizenship, of resistance and renewal. In these turbulent times, it's tempting to give up, to lose hope, to try and just get through the day without reading the news. But we cannot give in to those temptations. We cannot let the ignorance and intolerance emanating from this White House define our country, because we know that America is better than this, because we know that we are better than this. Our hearts are bigger. Our country is bolder. Our future is brighter than that which is allowed by the narrow-mindedness of Donald Trump. So no, we will not let this president turn Americans against each other, and we will not fall into the traps of an old and tired playbook that everyone in this room knows all too well. It is the playbook of division. A game book that treats you as pawns who can be played against each other, separated by the color of your skin, the heritage of your family, the love of your life, the scriptures you read, the block you grew up on, and the health challenges you face. This is a never-ending list of ways that the president has tried to pull apart the diverse threads that bind us together as one people. But we're not going to take the bait. We're not going to lose sight of the nation's promise. So we will draw strength and build unity when we remember the words of Dr. King, who said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. You see, Dr. King knew that only by standing together as one people can we achieve justice for all people. That's why he called on us to unite in our common humanity. That's why he preached to Protestants and Catholics, to Muslims and Jews, to people of all faiths and backgrounds. That's why he rallied and organized with the sanitation workers in Memphis, the farm workers in California, and the auto workers in Detroit. That's why the day before he died, Dr. King told the workers of Memphis as they prepared to protest that he had been to the mountaintop, that they should not fear the backlash of bigots, just as he did not fear the threats on his life. The world is messed up, Dr. King said. Trouble is in the land, confusion all around, but I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you then see the stars above. Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. My friends, recent events remind us that yes, the world is messed up. Yes, there is trouble in the land. And if you go onto Twitter, confusion all around. But we cannot let the politics of division and distraction keep us from solving the challenges of our time. The challenges of creating an economy that values work, that helps families struggling, that ultimately realizes that we have the wherewithal to see a child cross a graduation stage and not a prison courtyard. That is our challenge. The challenge of rooting out systemic racism and reforming a broken criminal justice system. Now, these challenges may be great, but I know we can overcome them because they pale in comparison to the trials and tribulations faced by African Americans throughout our history. From Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman to Rosa Parks, Dr. King, John Lewis, and all the giants sung and unsung, known and unknown. Let us remember that today we stand on their shoulders. And in doing so, we stand a bit taller. Let us reach a bit higher. And above all, let us see the light in each other. We will meet those challenges in 2018. I know that we can meet it. We will resist together. We will persist together. And we will enlist each other in the march up to that mountaintop and reach for a worthy future of our storied past. And that is our opportunity in 2018. In the midst of all of the challenges, I see a rising sun, not a setting sun, and it starts here today.